should be set.
Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Well then, Mahrez has made something of that. It's Mahrez! 2-0 to Leicester City! Next to him, Anthony Knockout finds Wood. Wood should score! Wood West Knockout! Yes! Here comes Leicester again with Heskey and Ibbett! Oh, this is incredible! Got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off. Jamie Vardy!
Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube.
Good evening and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It's Wednesday night, which means it's time for Foxes Den. Big shout out to all the people in the chat already. Hope you are doing well. Make sure to get your comments in throughout the stream. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit subscribe as well. Before we get into it all, Duck, quack, quack, what's going on, mate?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to the season, right? That one game was so nice. I can't wait for more.
Yeah, I am absolutely buzzing for the new season to start. So yeah, just a couple of days away. Jack, final whistle, mate. What's going on? How's things with you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Yeah, same as Duck. Looking forward to the season now. It starts on Sunday, and it's good to see the game now. He's going ahead.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that is true. It's been confirmed today that it will be going ahead. So at least we will have a watch along to do on Sunday, and we will get to see Luke eat that ghost chili pepper live on stream, which is going to be absolutely quality to watch. Ragsy, how are you, mate? What's going on with you?
Yeah, evening, boys. Evening. Very chilled. I actually really enjoyed Saturday's game, and it's got me sort of like kicked into gear for the game now this week. The summer went way too quickly, just following on from last season and stuff. So I haven't enjoyed the full break, but still happy that football's back this week. So no, can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's look to the comments. Let's see what people are saying. Anyone heard from Rob Tanner? Been no articles from him on the Athletic? Yeah, I think he's just taken some time out. He'll be back soon, I'm sure. Although I think the Athletic are actually not reporting much this season, on the Championship. So whether we'll get much from Rob in the season, I'm not sure. We'll find out soon. Sorry we were late, DP. Duck was too busy playing on his PlayStation.
I know. We can't be having that, mate. Lots of people playing a tennis game, and he forgot about all you guys. I was sat here 10 minutes before the show. As the adult I am, Lux jumps in when we were supposed to be starting and just acts like a fool because he's been playing tennis all day. Disgusting behavior. It's your fault,
Yeah,
mate.
we should clarify, not real tennis. I've not been playing real tennis.
Of course he doesn't do exercise as well, man.
Hey, you cheeky bastard. I've been to the gym at 5 a.m. every day this week.
Yeah. Just because there's an M on the McDonald's logo doesn't mean it's a gym, mate. Go on.
I don't eat that anymore. I don't eat McDonald's anymore. Evening to Kunal. Hope you're doing well, mate. Wolf Henry, hello to you. Fossub, I hope you're doing well, mate. Frankie, Naeem, DP, Marty, or should I say Felix? Hello to Felix. Michael, hello to Liam. Sunday, looks like Sunday's going ahead. Absolutely. Can't wait for it, mate. Let's see what Thomas said. Even lads, Forest held a goalless draw against Fiorentina last night. Better than against Leicester. Also, Wednesday's game is still ahead on Sunday. What's your thoughts about that? We'll talk about it later on, the game on Sunday. Yeah, I'll get that sorted for you. Very well. Good shout there, Wolf. Right, today's topic, people, is El Capitano, the captain, Leicester City club captain. It's been I feel like the Leicester City club captain thing's just been a bit of a weird situation since Schmeichel left, because Jamie Vardy just never really wanted it, did he? It seemed he didn't really ever want. Otherwise, he would have just been the club captain, but he wasn't. It was kind of shared between a few different people. So we're gonna go straight in with the question, and I'm gonna go round. Doc, who would you say is the best option to be club captain at Leicester City right now?
I think it would be, it has to be Ricardo Pereira in my opinion, right? Long-serving member, one of the longest-serving we have right now, up there as well, very highly respected in the group as well. He's had the armband multiple times, and despite his contract running out this year, I do still think he's the obvious choice. And then I'd pick someone a bit younger to be the up-and-coming captain who we expect to keep for longer. Maybe a cheeky Ben Nelson or someone like that.
Yeah. Manny's here. Manny says Ricardo and Ben Nelson.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, actually.
It's interesting to see all the different types of. What are you drinking, Jack? Somebody asked, nice drink. What are you drinking? What you got, Jack?
Oh, White Monster.
Okay.
Monster Ultra.
Fair enough. Sorry.
Yeah,
Foss Hub mentioned it, so I thought I'd ask. Okay, so you're going with Ricardo or Ben Nelson? Well, Ricardo, yeah.
Ricardo main, Ben Nelson as the number 2 vice captain.
Okay, Jack. What about you, mate? Who are the first names that come to mind for you? Who would your pick be for captain this season?
Victor Christensen. No, I'm joking.
Great pick.
Yeah, I definitely think it's got to be Ricardo Pereira. He's been here the longest, hasn't he? And I think he's the one that a good leader in the dressing room. I know he hasn't really got much minutes due to his injuries and that, but he's always a good head to have around the boys in the squad with the experience with the young players coming through in that. So I think that helps massively. Vice captain. Oh, I tell you what, you could go between Ben Nelson and Hamza Chowdhury, to be fair. Hamza, he has been captain before, hasn't he, for like the under-23s when he were there. He's proven to be a good captain. But I think we've got to go young up and coming, haven't we? So I would say Ben Nelson, to be fair, is vice captain.
Vice captain. Okay, so 2 for Ricardo and Ben Nelson. What about you, Ragsy? What are you going with, mate?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with club captain just as a whole is Ricardo. I think it's just born leader. Just he epitomizes club's identity and the values and what it's about. He's always 100% committed, whatever sort of fitness state that he's in. He's technically a brilliant player. It's just a shame with the injuries. The only issue is that he's not really going to be a prominent figure heading into this season. So I doubt he's going to be the one that's going to be captaining us week in, week out. So who's the deputy? Because whoever it is going to be more likely to, be captain week in, week out, basically. So yeah, you got the 2 options there. You got with Hamza, who's, he's captained at youth level. He has worn the armband in cup ties before as well, when there's been massively rotated sides. He's been one of the sort of first sort of academy products that has come through. And then, you then look at Harry Winks and stuff that was given it in his experience. And then you look at Ben Nelson. Now, yeah, I agree. I'm all for Ben Nelson having it. I think when you look at, I think we've got to sort of reshape our sort of mindset towards the captain's armband and stuff. And we've got to move into a new era and essentially eradicate the bozo gene that has sort of infected previous seasons with this squads and their sort of downfall. And I don't think they should be rewarded for it. And I don't think they should be the ones that should be taking responsibility moving forward. I think, when you look at Hamza, okay, if we get promoted, he's not really going to be a prominent figure. He's not really a Premier League quality player. Whereas if we believe that with Ben Nelson, he can achieve his potential, then he could really kick on. And I believe by him having that armband week in, week out, I think it makes him a lot more approachable for the likes of Amonga, the likes of Fatoui, the likes of any of the youth coming through, that they can speak to him and they can have more of an influence on the team. It is a message to the older figures that may be expecting that armband and maybe just sort of think it's a divine right to be given to them because they've clocked up a number of years of experience. And they're just actually, no, you're not part of the process moving forward. So I think that works all around. I think you look at where Arteta had his rebuilds and he was sort of just gave it to Odegaard earlier on and they moved on and phased out all the old guards and brought through this youth and stuff. And I think, yeah, we just need to step into a new era. So I'm all for Ben Nelson being the deputy for me.
So I'm going to disagree on Ricardo. I actually don't think Ricardo Pereira should be given the captain's armband because I would much rather somebody be given the captain's armband who, and I know this is you'll say to me this is what the vice captain's for, but I would much rather give the captain's armband to somebody who is going to be a starter week in, week out.
Do you not think he would though?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because I think number one, he's either going to rack up too many injuries, or with the 46 games, I know he did it 2 years ago. I know he played a lot of games and a lot of football 2 years ago. But I feel like this system is a lot more physically demanding, and I think he might need to be rotated more than what he was 2 years ago if he wasn't injured. I personally think the best option for this is going to be so controversial, so controversial. If he stays, I would give the captain's armband to.
You don't even know the answer.
James Justin. That's who I was giving.
Someone who's likely not going to be involved as much as Ricardo Pereira, who you didn't want to be captain.
No, that's not true. That's not true because James Justin, if he's fit, he'll play left back.
I think if Ricardo's fit, he'll play right back. He's the perfect fit for that role.
No, but I'm saying JJ would play left back when fit. JJ would play left back.
Yeah. I mean, did he start the game we had against Köln? No, that was Luke Thomas, right? And JJ was fit then.
No, but it was that was the switch. That was where they played two different games on the same day.
Mm-hmm. And he should have started that if he was in the A team, right? Surely not.
Why?
Surely
No, because it wasn't the A team. It was
the A team for all those who were expecting to. Or
because Monga started it, but he didn't start yesterday. He didn't start on Sunday.
Yeah, because Mavididi was injured.
No, right, I've got one. I've got one for you. So if Josh Brownhill comes in, we make Josh Brownhill captain in midfield.
No. This is...
Nah, man. I just
Leicester need a proper leader in that team.
Yeah, and I think Ricardo is the perfect fit for that, right? I mean, if you look at the system he wants his right back to do, or his offensive fullback, this last game it was Luke Thomas, because Hamza was playing and Ricardo was out. But their second top scorer of QPR last season was Jimmy Dunn, the right back. Imagine if Ricardo is fit, how much he will be a key to this team, how much he will get into the box, how many goals and assists he will acquire. We know he was the deputy captain last year under Vardy, because every time Vardy went off the pitch, it was Ricardo who was given the armband if he was fit. I think Ricardo is the obvious choice, and obviously he won't be playing every single game. He'll probably get a small knock at some point. But the thing is, then you have Ben Nelson, right? You have the young up-and-coming who will likely, if Ricardo doesn't extend for another year, if we get promoted, takes over. He'll be here for a few more years, and he'll lead by example. I think he's the perfect choice. And I think James Justin, I was open for many other candidates you could have said there. I think James Justin is a bit of a foolish one, because I don't think he would be better by any means.
Why though? Because he's going to play more games than Ricardo.
I don't think he will. If they both are fit, I don't think he'll be playing more. Every sign so far from Cifuentes is that Luke Thomas can definitely be playing many games.
And also, we're not seeing the thing is with James Justin is that we're not really seeing him as a long-term option for the new process that we've got moving forward. A year left on his deal.
What Ricardo is?
Yeah,
I think Ricardo extensively go up.
Still a born leader. Like, that's the thing. He's proven as a club captain, and he was under Enzo. He was the main leader. And like whenever he is fit, he comes in clutch. But then you pass on to the new era. So James Justin is still not a solution there. So like, if he was like still like long-term committed, and like we signed him for like another 3 or 4 years or something, then maybe you'd have a point. But I don't see him being part of the new process.
I feel like there's way too much sentiment shown to Ricardo Pereira when he plays 10% of games.
I mean, if you look at his record, right? His record in the Champions League.
The season before, wait. The season before under Enzo, he pretty much he was out for a month, and like he played pretty much every game.
1 in 5 years, Ragsy. 1 in 5 seasons.
100% of the seasons in the Championship, he's been fit.
He was he was pretty much fit.
But I'm saying that's 1 in 5 seasons. That's 1 in 5.
And we're not extending him beyond that. But I'm saying for the sake of this season and the club captain, you can still have that, and like they still have an influence on the dressing room. Look at the likes of Vincent Kompany. Barely played in his last season, and when he came on against us, and he started against us and scored that screamer that won the title. Like, that's when you have like players that can come in clutch and know what they need to do, know how to like They come into a team and they take every game by the scruff of the neck. So he is proven at that. So he can be in the background, but obviously with the likes of whoever you want to sort of sit here and promote, whether it's a James Justin, whether it's a Ben Nelson, and they'll be the ones taking it week in, week out. And at least then they still have the assurance from Ricardo, knowing that he's there, a proper leader that's still guiding them through the process. So like, because you're still looking at these guys as kind of like the contingency plan moving forward, and they're bedding into the role as the armband, and hopefully it grows on them. But yeah, it's Ricardo easily. I don't know what you want, Box.
What do you mean, man? You want a club captain who's going to play fucking 10 games this season?
I think you're looking at a track record, but you're not taking in the facts. He's never really much injured in the championship. His record speaks for himself in the championship. He doesn't get injured. So maybe it's something with the league. Maybe it's something with
he doesn't get injured. He gets
not in the
injured.
championship. Oh, I mean, look at his record in the championship. 100% of the season, he's played 40 games in the championship. He can definitely handle it. We had that question last time around.
I would love somebody to actually, who's one of our viewers, to go and check, how many games Ricardo has played in the last 5 years and work out the percentage. I reckon it's 20%.
I reckon it's very 20%. High for the championship though, and that's the season. That's the league we'll be playing in.
All right, what's a more physical league? The Championship or the Premier League? Physicality.
I'll say the Championship, but I'll say the record.
Exactly. So he's more likely to get injured.
Yeah,
he's more likely
but the statistics you're trying to bring up don't show that, because it's the statistics say he doesn't get very much injured in the Championship.
The only statistic that matters is how many injuries he's had over the last few years, not just
in the Championship, because he's playing in a very physical league.
No, but that's irrelevant.
Oh, so the physicality is not relevant.
Why
is 2 years ago more relevant than last year? That's what I want to know. Why is 2 years ago more relevant than the year ago?
When it comes to the likes of Vestergaard and Fast, that they're going to kick on this season. When in 2 years ago, like you said, that they were the best centre-back partnership in the league, and now you're using them now.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We're talking about injuries, not quality of player. Ricardo, quality of player, one of the best players in our squad. But we're talking about injuries here, right? And I don't think Ricardo's going to play many games at all this season. And let's be honest, even if he was fit, like now, let's say he came back to fitness now, I don't think he'd start on Sunday either, because his preseason's been very hit and miss. Just for that reason, I think he needs time. But anyway, regardless, my next question, I'm going to go to Jack next. Jack, what do you make to what Spurs did? Where I think Spurs, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but Spurs had a group. There were 3 players. Was it James Maddison, Cuti Romero, and Son? They were 3 club captains. And depending on who was on the pitch and whatever, that meant that decided kind of who was the captain on that day. What do you think to that, Jack? Would you go down that route, seeing as though the name that people are picking most often, Ricardo, might be injured quite a bit? Would you have more of a group of captains rather than just an individual?
Well, yeah, it gives it an option, doesn't it, for people to lead the team who's on the pitch on the day, not someone who's going to sit on the bench or in the stands. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have somebody who's in that 11 the majority of the time. Someone mentioned Caleb Bacola, to be fair. I don't think it's a bad shout. The guy gets bloody mad at Vestergaard and that at the weekend. He talks quite highly in that defence, Caleb Bacola. So I think he might have a bit of a mean streak towards him, someone who, if you don't do as you're told, he'll tell you how it is. So I'd put Caleb Bacola's name out. But yeah, I think a group of captains would probably be a good idea, because you mentioned Justin and Ricardo. They're injured more times than they're on a football pitch, I'll be honest, in these last few years. So it's got to be somebody on a football pitch who's going to play the majority of the time, but you can't really say that regarding a footballer, can you? Because you don't know when they're going to get injured or if they are. So it's a hard one to call.
Duck, how important do you think age is with being a captain? Because, you mentioned the vice captain, Ben Nelson, for example. A few other people have mentioned Nelson Jakob as well. Do you think it's important that you need experience, or is it more down to just the personality, the character of Blake? Because that's what I think it's down to. It's down to the character.
It's a good mix of both.
You can have a 20-year-old who's more of a leader than a 30-year-old, Yeah.
I mean, it's down to both, right? If you have the right personality, I mean, even if Jeremy Monka had the right personality, I think at 60, maybe that's a bit too soon, right? You haven't really stepped on the pitch. I think you need at least a few years in your legs. And Ben Nelson has had that, season of adult football now, senior football in Oxford, right? And then it's about the qualities you have as an individual. How vocal are you? How well can you understand, what the coach wants you to do? How can you lead your team by example? Do you lose your head often? I think that's why maybe Hamza, he's a bit more of a shitter who could get a bit carried away sometimes. That's why I think he probably wouldn't be one of my choices for captain. I want someone who'll always, keep calm even under pressure and be able to lead the team that way. So it's about the qualities, and then I think it's just a minimum requirement that you need to have like at least a season of senior football in the legs, in my opinion, before you can really, get the respect from your fellow peers, right?
Yeah. Because I was just looking like, so I just asked ChatGPT here, and Martin Odegaard was 22 when he became captain at Arsenal. Totti was 22. Apparently, Matthias de Ligt was 19 at Ajax. Casillas 21 at Real Madrid. So, I don't think age is too important, Ragsy. I think it is more to do with the character. Like we just said, like I just said, a 20-year-old could be more of a leader than a 30-year-old.
Yeah, especially with our squad. It's about your character, your sort of upbringing, your personality, how you want to go ahead and influence the team. I'm looking at the main guys, the protagonists for the team that are going to come into the team and just be the ones to make a difference without having other teammates to tell them what to do. I always see listen, it's a reasonable suggestion for Hamza or potentially even a Justin, but I always just sort of see them. Well, I see Hamza really as a supplementary figure. He's sort of a bit of a sideman, and then he needs someone a bit more experienced than him to sort of guide him through a game and sort of keep him level-headed and all that. Whereas, and with Ben Nelson, it's still a bit of a risk because he's still young. But I think with that assurance, and if he's got the confidence to take it on, then you can sort of ease into the role. And this could be some sort of responsibility that you can get accustomed to pretty easily if you're bedded in and you're not sort of affected by previous traumatic football from the previous seasons that we've had. This is the new era that we're sort of heading into. So age doesn't matter at all. It's just about your character, your personality, and your willingness to take it on.
I've just seen, by the way, Ipswich Town reject bid from Nottingham Forest to sign Amari Hutchinson. Forest's bid was 35 million. It's crazy, isn't it, really? I know Bilal's got a release clause, but if Amari Hutchinson's going for 35, Bilal without a release clause is surely 40. It's got to be 40 if Hutchinson's 35. Although, is Hutchinson English? So he's got that.
That's
why. The English text.
Yeah. And obviously homegrown, right, for the European competitions and stuff.
Yeah, that's the English text, no?
Yeah, exactly. Jack, here's a name. He has worn the captain's armband many of times, so I want to get your thoughts on him. Harry Winks. What do you think, Tim? Because I think if Ricardo was captain, I do think, lads, that Harry Winks would be one of the players naturally who, if Ricardo isn't on the pitch, he might take the armband. We've seen it before for the last 2 seasons. What do you make to him if he was made club captain, Jack? Because he's had a couple of controversies at the club so far. You may disagree or agree with what happened, with the Copenhagen thing and also the Ruud van Nistelrooy falling out. But what's your thoughts on him if he was captain?
I think Winks is a speaker on the pitch. He would bring consistency to the squad. He did it in the Championship last time. And I think it brings a lot more experience into his game, which would be good to help the younger players and lead them. So I'm not saying he's a leader by example with the Copenhagen thing and how things happened under Ruud van Nistelrooy, because you wouldn't want someone like that leading your team, would you? To be fair, I think it's a potential attitude problem in it. So Winks would be good to experience in that, and I think he'd be influential type of captain. But I'm not sure. I'll let the other lads have their say on it as well.
Ragsy
can't have a captain that doesn't want to live in Leicestershire. There you go. Well, that's it. I mean, here's the thing.
Hold on. Just to butt in there, Ragsy. Kasper Schmeichel lived in Manchester when he was club captain.
Different story. Anyway, moving that aside, I do sort of, you look at his personality, he did captain Tottenham, and it's like, you know, you look at his sort of attributes and what he can bring and how he can vocalize, sort of like what he was under Renzo. And he's sort of like, you want that vector of a player that's going to transmit what the manager wants and have that player as a captain that will transmit that to the rest of the team. Like, you know, he has the capabilities for it. And weirdly, I do see him getting it. Like, and it could be him. Maybe not, like, you know, I think it will still be Ricardo, but I think if it could potentially be him if Marty does fancy him. But I personally I don't want him as captain because, you know, I think that is a huge sign for me. You've got to be hugely committed to the cause. Again, he's only here for the next year, and we're not really going to renew him on. No, after the whole debacle from that season, I wouldn't be having it personally.
Duck, Harry Winks, mate. What are your thoughts?
I mean, not high up on the list. I think it would have to be an extraordinary game for me to see where he would be the most the right player to carry the armband. I just don't see it happening. I wouldn't be too happy with it. I think there are way better options, right? Again, 1 year in his deal, drama last year as well, exiled from the squad for a bit. I feel like that should be an automatic disqualification, even if it is a new manager. Because we were all here witnessing how when we were going down, he was out doing anything but playing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a comment here from Daniel saying the fact we are scrapping about is quite poor from our squad in general, especially as so far, other than Nelson, the others all only have a year left. And I remember under Brendan Rodgers, he actually said in the summer, one of the summers, he said, I want to sign a winner and I want to sign a leader. And we brought in Wout Fass. So maybe he's the captain in waiting, Jack.
Forget that, I'm all right.
Well, you don't see anybody coming in for him. He's the one, you know, what was it in January we heard? Lazio wanted him, but no sign of that.
Yeah, not a chance for him, I'm sorry.
It's crazy no one wants last up anticipation, man. It's unbelievable.
It's bad, isn't it? I think we need a captain who's got more than 1 year left on his current deal. This is where I think it's got to be someone who's going to be here for a longer time now, because there's about 8 players in that squad now who've got a year left on the contract. So Ricardo, unless they give him another one, then you could probably say, okay, then a more longer term captain. But at this minute in time, you've only got your Ben Nelsons, Ramsey Chowdhury's, your really people who's on a long term deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so that means you want Uncle Ayu.
Oh, Uncle Ayu won't be bad, you know, with the experience.
He only has 1 year left. He's already
disqualified. 1 year left.
Oh, yeah.
Is it one? Yeah, 1 year.
1 year.
Oh,
yeah, I'm thinking Bobby Reed has 2, Jack.
Right. It's not getting it's Patsy.
If he's got 4 years.
It's a shame we didn't give 3 years to Ayu. I just don't get it. I mean, he would be a totally fine squad player again next year. I mean, he's a totally competent squad player who can fill in any hole that you need, right? I mean,
yeah, squad player. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the role he would take, right? Stick out his bum when we're leading 2-0 next year against Tottenham or something to win a few free kicks.
Best to go to be all right, leading the team around the training ground with the dogs.
Yeah, I mean, he's a ball leader, right? He's a leader of his pack at home, you know, with his dogs.
Society.
Well, you talk about, we're talking about players that might play a lot and players that have got more than 1 year. And Yannick Vestergaard, I mean, it seems could fit that bill because he started that game against Fiorentina ahead of Ben Nelson. Yeah, which is slightly worrying. Doc, what if Mads stayed? What if Mads did stay, which isn't going to happen, but if he did stay, would he make good captain material?
He'd be all right. I mean, I wouldn't be totally against it. He'd be getting a lot of minutes. He could be the number 3, right? I think it's normal that you talked about the captain group earlier, right? Maybe not as, mentioned or clearly defined. It's very common in Denmark at the very least to have a leadership group of around 3-4 players who in between them have a hierarchy of, right, who gets the armband first. So there's always someone on the pitch, where the armband needs to go. I wouldn't mind him potentially being number 2, potentially being number 3 on that list, and getting the armband in certain cases. I think he has good qualities. He's level-headed. He's one of the best players on the pitch as well. But it seems like West Ham are still in for him the last time I heard, right? And hopefully he'll be cashing in a nice fee for us instead of carrying the armband.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned leadership group. We have always had that in the past, because it used to be Schmeichel, Vardy, Albrighton. I think there was one more, Johnny Evans, maybe. I think it was. I think last season it was Vardy, Ricardo. I want to say Winks was in there as well. Well, yeah, he was, because he was sharing the captain's armband.
Led the podcast by
He's gone though. He's gone.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. Well,
Love it when
that's
it
scary
happens.
though, because if Cody hadn't have gone, he would be in this discussion just because of his label that he's a leader. Talking to keepers then, so I know he mentioned it earlier, but Jakub, I mean, why not Jakub? Why not Jakub as captain? Because you'd think if Mads goes, that Jakub, as long as things go well, he will be our number one goalkeeper for, at least a couple years. So what would you make to that one, Jack, if Jakub Stalacic was one of the captains?
I don't believe in goalkeepers as captains.
Really?
You need somebody who's going to be direct in the middle. Someone who can do both sides of it, the up front and the defence, who can get them told when they need to be told. Not someone in goal, because you're not going to hear it. It's like Jamie Vardy with Schmeichel. You couldn't really hear Casper from the other end. So it's like you need someone who's direct in the middle. But we haven't really got a midfielder who can actually go and do it, have we? You've got Skip, Samore, Harry Winks. And I'm not saying...
That's why Ricardo would be a good choice. He'll be very far up the pitch most of the time. Look at some of the positions Luke Thomas had, right? So like Ricardo, he will be bombing up and down. He could definitely yell some stuff to players on the way, between both the defense and attack.
Samore.
Somebody say Samare.
Who's telling jokes on here?
Well,
bold leader of looking for trends out.
Well, if the Fiorentina game's anything to go by, we might have a Skip Samaro midfield partnership.
They were good though. Like Samaro is a good player. He's just way too inconsistent and lazy sometimes, right? I feel like that's his biggest downturn. The passes as well sometimes just get lazy. I think it's Manny or Anil who calls it a hospital pass. Sometimes he does, right? And that could be very dangerous, especially when it's a lazy pass backwards that they then can string onto and create a chance from. So yeah, good player on his day.
Doc, what are your thoughts on Josh Brownhill, by the way?
Would be a nice signing. I mean, I would have put him on my list if I didn't want to use the inside rumors of us offering him a contract when we did the scouting report. So yeah, I mean, I think his output speaks for himself. He can run up and down the pitch. I mean, haven't watched too much of Burnley. When I did last season, they were boring. I watched them a bit during the a shit ton of 0-0s they got, right? Scott Parker, very, very defensive manager. Boring as hell to watch, which is the reason they might stay up if they end up doing it, right? Because they just play out a lot of boring games where they maybe snatch a 1-0 win. I think just Brownhill, though, he has a lot of qualities. I would, unless we really were dire need of a captain, I would be principally against someone who just came in to give them the armband. But I could see him, if he get a 3-year deal, working his way up to being one of the captains we could talk about next year, right? If he was there again. So yeah, we'll see.
So what's your beef then, Ragsy? Because all I fucking see you do is moan about Brownhill.
Right. Okay. Wait. You're over dramatizing it a bit.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not.
I don't. Hang on a minute. Okay. Right. I don't have an issue with the player of Brownhill, especially what he produced last season. And, with 18 goals in the championship, it is a good tally. All right. What I question here, and here is my worry, and we fall into this trap quite a lot as a football club, is what is his motive? The reason why he overperformed last season is because he had a year left. And his intention was clearly leave on the free, get a nice sign-in on bonus at a club and get a huge paycheck. So this is his motive for coming here. Because if it wasn't, then he'd still be there at Burnley.
Nah, Ragsy, man. Ragsy.
Locks. That's a bit come on.
Or maybe he's just at a point where he wants to try something new.
You cannot say that the man scored 18 goals in the championship because he was playing for a contract. He overperformed for a new contract. He turned the contract down by Burnley. He's turned it down.
Naturally, your motivation. Yeah, that's the difference with our club. But naturally, if you're running down your deal, you're looking for a new one, then to see it for them to sort of cave in and meet your demands and everything, or get like a better deal elsewhere. So yes, he had all the motivation because he's in a position where he's got nothing to lose. And then once he gets that deal, then he'll rest on his laurels. That's the problem that we're dealing with.
Every year he's been every year he's been in the championship, he's performed well. Yes, he's not scored 18 goals, but he's always been a really good championship player.
Not doubting that, but then our end goal is trying to get into the Prem as well. So, do you think he's good enough for the Premier League if we did get there?
No, but you just said our end goal is to get to the Premier League. I mean, he's definitely good enough to get you there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then what afterwards? Then
he becomes a squad player. You spend 20 million on some fast twitch fiber DM that many scouted. But I'm not against that idea though, because the players we can attract in the Premier League, you kind of have to look at it this way, in my opinion. If we can attract what we believe is a top tier talent because we're not in the Premier League, I'd rather give someone who we know can get us there a 2-3 year deal where they then know they'll be a squad player next year. And then when we go up, we have more money to spend, we have more pull power, and then we can attract that £20 million talent who we know could bring us from relegation battle to battling for European places or top half finishes, right? So sometimes you have to use that stopgap player, right? Look at how any club who's grown up the standings have done that, right? If you look at how Man City first moved in the market when they got taken over, they were buying these stopgap players as well that they knew weren't going to win them the league, but were going to move them from, mid-table to European challengers or European contenders. And then further onwards, when they were playing Europe, they could get the better and better players. So, if we can't attract what we believe to be a top talent, I'd rather have just Brownhill than buy a half decent talent and then have to buy a new talent when we go up again.
I get the concerns. I was going to say, Ragsy, I get the Brownhill concerns when people talk about the size of the contract, the length of the contract, the wage. But I must admit, Ragsy, I don't think I've ever heard somebody use an overperforming season as a reason not to sign somebody.
Well, that's people use that as a motive. That's just standard. What
was Yuri Tielemans' excuse?
A lot more than you think.
What happened to Tielemans in his last year?
Yeah, he still ended up at Villa anyway. They just didn't give a fuck. So he's not sacrificed a damn thing. That's why it's completely different with Ark though. I'll give you that. But yeah, I will sit here and be like, I'll be okay with it if it's a reasonable contract. I'll be like, okay, if there's no one else with our scouting network that we couldn't find, and we do need a number 8, then okay, yeah, that's cool. And I prefer a shorter contract. I prefer to go down the route of signing like a young prospect that we can nurture and develop a bit more. But if they can't do that, then okay. If it's reasonable wages, I'll be okay with it.
Jack, the voice of reason, the voice of sense on Leicester City YouTube. Talk to me, mate. What are you saying about Brownhill?
Brownhill fits Leicester's system well. Can play central midfield. He can play CDM. He can play centre attacking mid. Scored 18 goals. He's a leader. He's a professional. And he's a very good championship player. You can't always have young players in your squad in the championship. You always need that hint of experience. So that's why I sort of look at Brownhill. If we offered him 40 grand, 50 grand a week on a 3-year deal, I'd say fair enough. But you know what Leicester's like with handing out the wages. He wanted, apparently, someone was saying 90 grand a week at Burnley, but his wages are actually 45k before he left there. They wasn't willing to change the wage structure. But if we did get him on a 3-4 year deal with cheap wages, I'd say fair enough. You've got a proven championship player there. Leicester City do need that midfielder after Wilfred Ndidi leaves the football club. Can you really rely on Samare? No. He's proven time and time again he hasn't progressed. Oliver Skip. He hasn't progressed, has he? The wages, not the wages, the transfer fees weighing him down, I'll be honest, of 25 mil. So Brownhill's a free agent. It's not like we're going to spend him bloody 20, 25 million on a midfielder, I think this is where Leicester's got to be sensible. Free agents are there, but we've just got to be careful which ones we actually sign. So I think that's the sort of market we're going to be looking in this summer, I'm afraid. Loans, free agents, because we ain't going to be spending a lot of money with PSO on our shoulder at the minute. We don't know what's happening there. So I'd take Brownhill massively.
I do also want to talk about the man who's in a lot of the news at the moment, Doc. Bilal El Khannouss. what is your take on everything going on there? Because, you know, we're hearing that there's a release clause of £22 million that expires on the 15th of August. Leeds interested, Crystal Palace potentially, Spurs potentially, now West Ham potentially interested. Do you see him staying in any way? Because, you know, after the game on Sunday, we got excited again. You know, he played well and he was, you know, smile on his face with the others, with Mavididi and with Fatawu. You know, I think we can all agree, right, that the three behind the striker, Mavididi, Fatawu and Bilal,
that would be the best in the league.
By far. So, do you think there is a chance he stays, or do you think we are smoking something crazy to even suggest he might?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on if one of the big dogs move. If Crystal Palace with European football move in, for sure. Tottenham, same thing. I think even
Champions League, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got Champions League. Yeah. I mean, by the looks of things, he's always expressed he was happy to be here, right? I think like his play has showed that, right? When he celebrated the goals last season, the effort he put on the pitch despite the team capitulating around him. Even in preseason, he's been very professional every time he's been on the pitch. You could look at the running he did just last game. I'm hoping Cifuentes takes him to the side if it's someone like Leeds and says, you know, we have to accept this offer. I can understand if you want to go, but look at the players you'll be playing around. Look at the game time you'll be getting, the output you could be getting of goals and assists. And in a year's time, with this group of lads who, you know, Fatawu, Mavididi, you'll be playing in the Champions League, or not the Champions League, rather the Premier League. If we get promoted, because Marty would then say he would be, you know, the key reason we could get that promotion, right? And then he could take it from there. Or he could move to Leeds, play in a team that will go down, and then be in the Championship again in the same situation. So I think he will go, but I think there is also a slight chance that, you know, none of the big teams come in for him and Cifuentes manages to convince him, because I do believe this football, from the way Bilal seems as a player, is a football that is attractive for him to play, right? A fun system for him to express himself in, and by some very creative players by his side in a league where he could be balling out. And I mean, even if you're in the Championship, if you score, you know, maybe 2-3 goals a month with a few assists as well, you'll definitely be getting called up to the Moroccan team and playing AFCON and maybe even the World Cup.
What about you, Ragsy? What are your thoughts on Bilal at the moment? Because, yeah, like Doc said, there's a couple of European teams that are in, you know, a couple of teams that have European football. I just don't want to kind of convince myself that he's staying, because I think it's unlikely, first of all, and secondly, I'm going to get my heart broken, because I just think he's the perfect creative player for this team as well under Marty. And I always mention the KDH effect, Ragsy, what I mean by that is the fact that he stayed with us, he got loads of goals and assists, and he got a move to Chelsea, whereas 6 months earlier he was only linked to Brighton. So I think the similar could happen with Bilal, Ragsy, that if he stayed, he's not going to be linked with West Ham and Palace. He'll be linked with Arsenal and Liverpool and Man City.
Exactly. That, like, you know, just look at KDH's path, and it's still like is a decent enough motive if he doesn't get that club. Like, there's absolutely no point in him going to Leeds, who were just another yo-yo club, in my opinion. There's just no point. So, yeah, I think it's all up in the air at the minute. Like, I think with the sources that are out there, they're sort of, you know, they're inquiring, they're considering, they're like debating and all this crap. They're not really in the know. And I think like it's just very telling when you look at that Fiorentina game. If negotiations are as close as they say they are, then he wouldn't have been playing against Fiorentina. I still think, like, listen, like the transfer market can move very quickly, and it's like a domino effect, like all from the top. Like, you just need one of the big clubs to go and buy somebody from, like, let's say Man City, go and buy Paqueta from West Ham, and then West Ham have the money, and then they need to go and replace Paqueta, and then they look at Bilal, or like with like Palace losing Eze, and they've got the money and he needs to replace him. Tottenham have just lost Maddison due to injury, and they're like, okay, they'll probably miss out on Eze, so they'll probably go for like Bilal maybe. So it could all hot up in the last couple of weeks of the window. So there is still a chance, because you do get clubs that do end up taking the piss and completely lowball us. And I think the club still have a decent enough stance in this to say, yeah, you know, like we know we've got a big asset here, and we know like we're going to retain his value, especially if we go up next season. So either give us a proper bid and a proper offer that we'll be fine accepting, and then we'll take it. So it's still like, it's not for sure. Like, I don't think we've completely lost him. But yeah, I think the worry is that I'm okay with Hermansen moving on because I know Jakob's there and I know he can step in and can do a good enough job in the Championship. If Bilal goes, I don't think there's a ready-made replacement for him to come into the
Munga,
team.
maybe that would be my closest guess. Or will
that's probably the closest at the minute that we've got. So like, and he's 16, so you never know. Like, it's still up there with his sort of like physical temperament in the league. So you're not too sure with him. Like, so you then need you definitely would need someone in there to go and replace him. Like potentially a Brownhill for sure. We got to wait and see. So like, it's a concern if he does go, and how we try and replace him, I'm not sure. But like, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure.
Jack, I know you've spoken about it a lot, mate, but like, I think on the weekend was interesting, the Fiorentina game, because I don't think any of us would have been surprised if Bilal or Hermansen didn't start that game, right? They were on the bench or something like that. Because there's a lot of interest, and I was surprised, especially to see Hermansen, a little bit to see Bilal, but not too much because there's obviously no bid or anything like that. But we did see Jack Wilfred Ndidi didn't play. And obviously now we know that he's on his way to Besiktas. I think if rumours are to be believed, he's there right now in Istanbul. So do you think maybe just the deals aren't anywhere near being done? Because this West Ham Hermansen one's going on for ages. The Bilal one, there's nothing concrete yet. What are your thoughts on them?
This is the situation. You know something's happening when a player's been put on the bench and he doesn't play at all, or he isn't in the team full stop. So this is when you sort of read, you know what, something could be happening. Like Ndidi, we knew something wasn't right when he didn't come on at all. You're thinking, that's a bit odd there. What's happening? And then Besiktas comes straight out of the blue with it, and there you go. You know why. So you can sort of read these things. Bilal looks very much happy at Leicester. He doesn't look like a Wesley Fofana and wants to move anytime soon. So it's not like he's going to be pushing for a move. He's not refusing to train or going on social media writing cryptic messages. So I think it's sus regarding this release clause. I'm sorry. It just seems all different. Leicester have been very much private on the front this transfer window. We've not found anything out regarding managers before or players or anything like that. So with Bilal, there's obviously been speculation with Arsenal, Bayern Leverkusen, Crystal Palace. There's about a long list that I put up. It was Santa's list ready for Christmas. So
is it his agent?
I think this is what it is. It's agent, because these media believe whatever. There's been a lot of talk about what Rob Dorset said, Colomossi, about not being a release clause altogether. Then you got Sacha Taglieri proper pushing on it. It'd be very bad business of Leicester to want to get the same money back than what you paid for him. That ain't business at all. That's just stupidity. You'd never do that in business. You wouldn't want to get the same amount of money you paid for something. You'd want more, because you know you can invest a lot more. So this is what Leicester want. They want to invest on El Khannouss because they know the talent's there. And if he stays this season in the Championship, his stock's going to be higher, and so is his ceiling. So you'll get more of a proper understanding of things.
I mean, every single thing about the Bilal El Khannouss body language, the way he trains, the way he plays, the intensity he plays with in friendlies, says he's happy to stay. Everything I'm reading in the media about this release clause seems very agent pushed, right? He might be open and, I'd like to move to the Premier League. I think every player, if they got the offer to, would. But what happens, right? If he gets a move now, a release clause is activated, the agent makes maybe £1 million or whatever in agent fees for facilitating the move or helping the move or whatnot. It seems very much centered around that, because I think as well they know that if they don't activate the release clause, Leicester, they'll want 40, maybe 45, maybe 50 million for Bilal, right? Considering what cams are going for these days when they are so technically brilliant as he is. And obviously that would mean the agent would have a harder time getting the move, harder time getting his own payday. And yeah, I could very much see him leave. I think if that release clause goes, though, I think he's staying put, especially if Hermansen goes. If Hermansen doesn't go, I still see there's a way we are selling him. But if that release clause expires and Hermansen is gone, I don't think he's leaving.
I think the club would be open to selling one of them. actually actively trying to sell one of them.
And I think Hamilton's is a big one, right? You can see them in negotiations, but obviously they don't want to take too much of a cut price deal.
Well, of course, yeah. If the club were in a situation where if they sell one, they could keep the other, then they would rather sell Hermanson, right? Because Bilal will make more of an impact. I was going to say as well, maybe he is just content, Bilal. Maybe he's just being patient. He's happy to continue with Leicester for now. If in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, on the deadline, there's a bigger club that comes in for him, then maybe that's a move. So, for example, what I'm trying to say here, Doc, is if Leeds met the release clause tomorrow, I think he would have a hard decision to make.
Bilal. Yeah, for sure.
But if Spurs met the release clause tomorrow, I think it's a no-brainer.
He's gone,
for him.
of course. And that's I said that as well earlier, right? I mean, if one of the big clubs came, for sure. But I also think if on deadline day, the release clause wouldn't be there anymore. It's gone in a week's time, right? So if deadline day, Spurs offers 30 million, I think we say no, and he would respect that and still continue to play. Unless obviously they came with an absurd move, I would be open to selling him for 60, 50 million. I think we can reinvest that into a very good attacking midfielder for the Cam, and we could give Will Alves and Manga a year to grow in the Championship, and maybe even they will be ready to take over as main Cam in the Prem or next year in the Championship, right? So if a really good offer comes, for me, it's more about the fact that, as Jack said earlier, getting the money you paid for him, that's not very exciting when he's one of the brightest prospects we've brought into the club in the past few years.
Right, the final thing to talk... Go on, mate. Go on, Jack.
I agree with what Larry said. If the Bilal release clause, it'd have been gone by now. This is what I talk about with Leeds United. If the release clause is there, you wouldn't inquire about anything. You just say, you know what, I want this player. He's got a release clause. I'll activate it. And you'd have teams snapping at the reels to sign him if he's got a release clause. Every club would probably want him because he's got the massive potential to go to the highest top. So
something feels off about the fact that nothing has happened.
I just think it's media pushed. I just think it's his agent thinking, you know what, teams are going to want to get as many clubs in for him as possible this summer. So this is what he's doing, and this is the game he's playing with, feeding Sacha a lot of things in his ear, like dripping a lot of poison.
I agree. I think it's media. Yeah. Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, Ragsy, we're 3-4 days away from the first game of the season. Now, I think we can all agree that we're expecting Jordan Ayew, Uncle Ayew, to be be starting up front for us on Sunday. How desperate do you think we are, mate, for a striker? Because we are, we're linked with Richard Kone currently. It appears to be the only striker that we're linked with, although we've recently been linked with Sam Greenwood again, which he isn't an out-and-out striker, but he has played there from time to time. Where's your head at with this Ragsy? Because at the moment, Daka and Ayew are our only two strikers, if you exclude Jake Evans from that, because it doesn't look like he's going to be a big part of anything just yet. Richard Kone, would you be trying to snap him up, or would you be trying to loan someone in? What are your thoughts on a striker?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm really gearing myself more towards the idea of Richard Kone, and I think, for the sake of 5 million, I think it's worth it. Even with the financial peril that we're in, even if we did this deal with Tom Cannon as well, where we bought him for 8 million and made a couple of million profit after selling him to Sheffield United. If we're really okay. We're really still not convinced with him. He probably needs a bit more time in the Championship, maybe lower. Then, you can still loan him out, or you can still look at an upcoming club with that's entered the Championship with parachute payments and do a similar sort of situation. Then, you could trial it for a year and it'd still have some sort of asset and value. So you could still go and sell it on. We definitely need another striker coming through the door. Ideally, someone who's going to be the number one. Are you I'd deal with it being number two. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not in for this Glazing, but I think we can all sit here and agree he's certainly a better option than Daka coming off the bench. Daka's useless from the start. He's useless coming off the bench. Ayew is at least he can cause a bit of there's a method to his madness in essence and stuff.
And he's not bad for the Championship. Let's be frank. I mean, I think Ayew is not a top tier Championship striker. There are some good strikers in here, I will say, especially with the add-ons that clubs have made in the summer. But I'd say maybe top 12, maybe, in terms of strikers. I think he's, for what we want, totally fine. He seems pretty good on his finishing. He's good physicality and hold-up play. He doesn't have the technical package, but that's what our two wingers and our offensive midfielders for, right? Like, I just need him to be in the box, stick his head up, stick his ass out, or to get a pen, or just stick it in the goal. I think I can do totally fine. He could get 15 plus goals this season if we don't buy anyone.
15 goals.
If he doesn't get injured, I think 15 goals is not unrealistic. With the service he has, I'm not saying there'll be great goals for Rexy. I'm saying he'll stand in the box and he'll fucking tap it in. He just needs to be at the right place. And look at the goal he got against Fiorentina. I think he could get 5 of those throughout the season, and then maybe 10 more where he actually, doesn't get a lucky. I think it won't be brilliant, but it'll be, fair play. He stands at the right place, he taps in the goal, and he goes to celebrate.
It's his fitness to last the whole season. This is the thing.
That's a fair question to say. That's a fair question to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you still need another body in there that's gonna.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I would want another striker too.
2 games a week. So that's the thing. Like, that's the concern that we've got. I have no issue, like, if he comes on the odd game and like has to start, or in the cup games and stuff. And like, let's say if Coney is out injured or something, then you use him for like a few games or something like that. That's fine. But I think we definitely need 3 strikers in the squad, and ideally one who is going to be starting.
I think Jordan Ayew, even if Kone comes in, I think Ayew will be, especially for the first month or two, I think he will be first choice. To be honest, I think he's shown he deserves it in pre-season. Like,
his work rate has been impressive.
Yeah, and in terms of linking up the play, in terms of like actually fitting the system, he's been impressive there. Jack, what about you, mate? What are you saying with strikers? Because as we all know Daka, we don't need to talk about Daka. He's fucking useless. So Jordan Ayew is the man currently. We need a third man, don't we? But at the moment, Jack, the problem is we've not spent a single penny on a player. All we've done is bring in Asmir Begovic on a free.
I think we're just waiting for the Ndidi thing to go through, and then we've got money to play with.
What, you think we're going to get Kone when Ndidi goes?
Yeah, I think Leicester's still at the table from what you hear from Wycombe Wanderers side of things. Leicester are still there. I know Swansea have pulled out now, haven't they? They're looking at another striker. Preston, they're not going to pay £5 million. So Toulouse, I don't think they're interested either. QPR, I just think it's inquiries more than anything else. I think realistically, he'd snap Leicester's hand off to go there, to be honest. Richard Kone. He's a proven goal scorer. He's everything we need. We need someone who can score goals next season. He's good in front of goal. His build-up play is good. His link-up play. People say, but he's a League One striker. Yeah, but you signed Jamie Vardy, who was a conference striker at £1 million. You're only as good as the team around you. So he's got the players that can feed him next season. You've Fatawus, you Mavridis, Bilal El Khannouss if he stays, Jeremy Monga. You've got a complete setup in attack, and this is what Leicester's missing. Jordan Ayew, he's not a 46-game player, but he will get in amongst the goals next season, in my opinion. So £5 million risk-free. It's not really going to hurt us PSR-wise, is it, realistically? But
not much.
I think Richard Kone can really make the step up to the Championship, and there's a lot of high talk about him. He's a very good striker, and he'd make all the teams in the Championship, to be honest. So I'm quite intrigued to see if we can get him through the door. And £5 million, I think it'd be good enough to do it, to be honest, at a cheap price.
I'll say as well, look at the numbers for the first half of the season. They were a lot greater than the second half. And the reason for that, I don't know the manager's name. Was it Tony Bloom or whoever who went to...
I think
that's the Brighton owner. It is someone who went to Luton.
Who are we talking about?
Matt Bloomfield.
No, the new Luton manager.
Yeah, Matt Bloomfield.
That's Bloomfield. That was Bloom in there. That's all I remembered. But when he went, the new manager who came in didn't
Benjamin
play him
Bloom.
much. There are many Blooms out there. It's hard to keep track of them all. But the Wicker manager, Bloomfield, that was his name. He very much liked Kone. He really made Kone shine. When he left for Luton, the new manager didn't really look his way. And I think if Bloomfield had stayed, Wickham would be in the Championship now, or the Championship, and we'd be playing against Richard Kone instead. We now have a great chance to sign him because the striker there, or the manager there, doesn't really rate him as highly as Bloomfield did.
He also fits the 4-2-3-1 system that Marty Cifuentes plays.
There you go. Jack's been doing his research.
I have been doing my research.
Right, so seeing as though it's the last time I'll see a couple of you until the game, let's do score predictions. Leicester City versus Sheffield Wednesday. Doc, what are you saying, mate?
Oh, it's a question of how many. I think this is not just to sit and glaze ourselves, but also a bit of sadness about the situation of Sheffield Wednesday, right? We'd like to play a team that's competitive, who can have their stands open as well when we go visit them. But I think they should get clapped. They should get honked. They have 14 senior players. Like they will be struggling. And I think if Fatah, Wilma, Vadidi, and these lads start, we should be looking at putting 4, if not more, past them. So I'll go, you know what, screw it. We like to play offensive. Cifuentes wants more and more. I'll go 5-0. We'll better the first game. We'll start rolling.
Jack?
Well, the highest score in the championship's 8-0. So if we get
another 9-0,
we're the highest scorers. But Sheffield Wednesday squad's going to be putting square pegs in round holes because they haven't really got much of the players, have they? So it's a sad situation, Sheffield Wednesday. I hope the bloody get that bloke out because he's no good to football. He's just poison, to be honest. And Sheffield Wednesday fans would agree. So do I kind of be nice about it and say 4, or do I think it could be more? Because the way we conduct in that attack, we could blow them away first half and second half. But I just hope we don't take our foot off the gas. So I'm gonna be neutrally on it. I'm gonna say 4, but it could be more.
Okay, Ragsy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really got a feel for Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, and their shit show and stuff. And you think like the state of affairs off the pitch. Really hope like they get some sort of a resolution going forward. Hopefully, we can help out in the Chancery out chance and stuff, and they can help us out with Kim out power and stuff. But yeah, I mean, had to get that.
Ties out.
That was oh my god, yeah, no tie.
We'll sound like some.
Bollocks, man.
We'll sound like some far right activist group trying to get.
Is it? Yeah, not that extreme. I mean, it could be a bad one. It could be. I'll give them a goal. 3-1 win for us.
I will just say before you go, Lux, as well, that there's a good chance that we actually end up celebrating like a 90th minute win or something, not because they've scored, but because they park 10 men behind the ball, sit deep. And Cifuentes, I'm actually excited to see how he'll deal with these low blocks, because that's not something he's used to, right, at QPR. Normally, teams wouldn't park the bus against them, so it'll be one of his first lectures in that. And there could be some growing pains there. They could be really disgusting to watch, right? They get the ball, they kick it up long, and pray that one striker does something, and we sit on 80% of the possession. That wouldn't surprise me either. It's very much either we score one quickly, and there'll be a lot of goals, or we struggle to score, and it will be a drag out where we are desperately trying to score against their 11-man defense. Like they'll be playing 6-5 formations or whatever.
Marty against a low block, I reckon it's balls to the wall, fucking full on double, triple, quadruple penetration, mate. Honestly, I think he's gonna fucking go for it.
Scope.
Yeah,
sounds like a great Friday night.
or a great Sunday afternoon. I've actually gone with Rags. I've gone 3-1. I think it won't be a complete blast. I don't think. But yeah, 3-1. They might nick a goal. Let's just see what some people in the chat are saying here. So Terrence has gone 3-0. Mr. Fatawu 6-1. Blue Fox Forever 3-1. Clibo says 4-0. Thomas is saying 10-0. Oddfish 5-0. IU hat trick and Ragsy crying. That'll be brilliant. Azola 6-0. King Leicester says 7-2. And Ryan says 4-0 City. DP 4-1. And Daniel Dobson says 5-0. I've also just seen Vizer, the YouTuber, has done his predictions and put us in 5th place.
I saw a Wrexham podcast today. One of the guys on that podcast put us 12th and put Wrexham in 11th. Genuinely disgusting. That is a crime against humanity. And it's on that Red Ryan Rob podcast that they always include in the show as well. Fellas, man, that is disturbing. Have a hard look at yourself. You can't be putting less than 12.
Yeah. But in my eyes, just let them be deluded. Let them go.
I don't mind them putting Wrexham 11th, right? They're high in momentum. They've made some old but good championship signings, who will definitely stabilize the ship. Like they won't go down, but like putting us 12 because we might get a 9-point deduction or around that area, we'll win that back in 3 games.
That's
Like,
the thing. Like, without sounding too big-headed, we're clearly the biggest club in the division. So, like, naturally, with all the noise that's around us, like, you see all the championship teams, and they're going to want to see us fail, and they'd love that because it's a great story for the championship in general and stuff. But like, yeah, we just let them put this down. That's the thing. We'll just smash it.
Yeah.
Squad.
You think we've got the best squad? Yeah.
Squad. You look at people hype up Ipswich and Birmingham and Wrexham and Southampton and every name under the sun. I still think we've got the best squad. I mean, we were beating Ipswich and Southampton last year. People were like, oh, Ipswich have spent 150 million. You lot are going to get beat this season. I'm thinking, mate, all right, then come to the King Power and Vardy scores just 200.
We beat them when we were at our worst. When we beat them we beat Southampton away with fucking Cooper. And we beat both Ipswich and Southampton with Ruud van Nistelrooy at the wheel.
Team of headless chickens last season still beat them.
Yeah, and it was comfortable as well. We weren't in danger of losing. Not the first Southampton game. We were 2-0 down. But the games at home, we were not in danger of losing those at all. We were cruise controlling to 2-0 victories. And like, we haven't lost a single player from that team, but we've gained a good manager. Yeah. Oh, we've lost Vardy, right? But
someone who steady the ship and get a relationship built. That's what we needed.
That's the key, really. We've got the right guy in. I think, like, even if you offered us Danny role now, like, I'm still sticking with Marty because he's the right guy to lead this team, set his principles in, and know how to work with this squad. And it's clearly still, like, even with a couple of losses and stuff, it is still better than Southampton's, better than Ipswich's. So overall, without a doubt, it's just really it depends on the points deduction.
Since the last time we were in the championship, the standard of drugs the YouTubers of other teams take has gone downhill fast. I was going to say as well, just some non-Leicester, non-championship news. Apparently, Liverpool are about to proceed with a concrete offer to PSG of £100 million for Bradley Barcola.
No way. That has to be some shit sort, bro. What sauce?
Freezak as well.
Yeah, crazy. I
don't think
what sauce?
Sasha.
He actually is all right.
They're actually on about for Nicholas.
He's hit and miss.
Sasha's good, but it's a lot of agent talk with Sasha. I think,
yeah, like when he really reports something, it's normally quite good. But you can feel like when it's I think especially around this Bilal things, right? It's very much agent driven. This team is looking at his release clause. This team is looking at his release clause. Like, come on.
I agree. Yeah, tomorrow will be a different story. You watch.
Absolutely. Right. That's all. Thank you to everybody in the chat for getting your comments in. Remember, make sure to hit the like button. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call you all out now, you fuckers in the chat.
All right.
I'm gonna see how many likes there is on this video because there's 156 watching. Right, that's a joke. There's 156 of you watching on YouTube and there's only 30 likes. So you get those likes up now. Make sure to hit subscribe as well. Thanks to Doc, thanks to Jack, and thanks to Ragsy. We will be back. We're going to have a match preview tomorrow, I reckon. Yeah, we will. We'll have a match preview out at 7 p.m. tomorrow with a Sheffield Wednesday fan. So make sure to join us for that. Cheers to Josh. Very much appreciated. And yeah, that's it. And then obviously we've got a big weekend of football. The football's back. Leicester City are back. We're going to do a watch along Saturday afternoon to watch Wrexham versus Southampton. And of course, Sunday is going to be Leicester versus Sheffield Wednesday. So we will see you then. As Thorbane says, 200 grand because a big shout out to our sponsors, Match Bingo. Thank you all. Cheers. Bye-bye, lads. See you in a bit. Massive thank you to today's sponsor, Match Bingo. Over 200 grand has been paid out to players so far by taking sports betting, football and bingo and combining them into one amazing app. Make sure to get your bingo card for any Leicester City game in the upcoming season. Click that link in the description or via the QR code on screen.